Hi, good show.
Thank you.
You're going live in three, two, one. You like that?
Hello, good evening from here. I'm back after a week of break. Um, I thought to myself that maybe last week I'm not gonna do a show because I actually wanted to concentrate my full engagement when it comes to the eclipse energies, as that was a very interesting time. And before I get to the main topic about the chakras and whether we should blend them, remove them, or keep them separate or whatever, I am going to just say a couple of words about what happened last week because maybe some of you are quite interesting when it comes to my perspective on things. So, in my opinion, what happened on the 8th of April with the eclipse, some people were saying that it's not a good event and that the energies were very low. Some people were saying that it was an extremely powerful event and the energies were just insanely intense. I have a third opinion. I would say that the energies were powerful, but at the same time, they caused a lot of clearing on the way. So this means that while Monday was relatively okay, the next days were quite very, very strong energetically, I would say, meaning that there's been a lot of people reaching out to me and saying, like, have you been also feeling those strange energies over the past few days? Yes, I have. And I would say that they have been causing a lot of clearing on all sorts of layers. So if you do feel like you experienced some interference last week with all of those strong energies that kept going during the eclipse and afterwards, or if you feel like there's been some kind of shifts taking place on the emotional or the mental body, that's something absolutely normal. And I would say that this week it should get a little bit more peaceful. Um, we also had those energies running from the 8th to the 12th of April. We had this Nomiya wave cycle. And I could feel this Nomi wave coming, and I would say that like around the 10th and like kind of between the night between the 10th and 11th of April, that's when the energies were the strongest, and that's when I kind of felt like this wave like reached its peak, and then it's just progressively started to kind of like go down again. But energetically overall, it's been quite of a roller coaster. As I could sense this Nomi wave coming and clearing all sorts of energies that still needed to be purified in the grids. And in general, there's a lot of going on energetically right now. Perhaps I will get into more detail in the future, but I recommend each one of you to ground, connect with the Nomi seed, and just take it easy with yourself because over the next few months, also because of that very intense solar activity cycle and um, and all of those other energies that will be coming up in 2024, I would say that there's going to be a lot of interesting things happening on the energetic arena. So this is my insight into it. Um, for today, I want to speak about something very basic, and that will be about the chakra system. I guess each one of you already know that we all have chakras, but what are they really? Um, and there's also a lot of different viewpoints on it. Some people say that chakras are like implants in the body, and we should remove them in order to actually remove that separation that is taking place, and also the fact that so many entities attached to our chakras. That also seems to be another issue and a certain reason to remove them. While some people say that we should basically keep them separate and just purify them with light and it should be okay. Well, I personally don't agree with any of those viewpoints. I have a different one, obviously, and I'm gonna share my viewpoint on it. When it comes to what we should do with the chakras now when we have an access to the internal and eternal creation frequencies, how we should approach that issue with different things attaching to our chakras, with all sorts of imprints that are kind of still held in the chakra system. Because I would say it's not about keeping the chakras separate. It's not about removing them from the body. It's more about blending them, blending their quantum. So I'm gonna kind of explain what I actually mean by that. We are also going to discuss about like certain solutions when it comes to like how to manage chakras these days. What are the possible things you can do with them? Also, how do chakras actually relate to the auric fields, to the DNA? What are the energetic configurations of chakras in the fallen races, among the fallen races? Whether they have also like 12 or 15 chakras like us, or do they have less? I kind of gathered quite a bit of information about it, so I guess I will share it as something interesting. And what else? And we'll also speak a little bit about why the integration of the lower chakras is important, because it's not about just like kind of opening your third eye or your heart chakra. It's also about looking into those lower ones as well. And I guess these will be the main things we will talk about. So I'm gonna start with explaining what are chakras in the first place and what is their function in the body. So chakras are multidimensional interface systems in the body that bring various spectra of frequencies into our biofields. There are 15 chakras in the body, each one of them corresponding to one dimension of the 15-dimensional time matrix system of external creation. Chakras regulate the flow of energy, consciousness, between various layers of our light body anatomy, enabling for individual, but at the same time indelibly connected, experience in each of the dimensional planes of existence. Chakras are not energy vortices, so they don't look like spiraling vortex. They are cones, or we can also say spirals that circulate the energy through the 6 directions. We've got like the front and the rear side of the chakra. We've got it like on the horizontal axis on the left and the right. And they are also on the diagonal axis. Every chakra is either base magnetic, base electric, or electromagnetic. Chakras bring various spectra of electromagnetic frequency into our bodies from higher dimensional fields and also lower dimensional fields, and spread it throughout the body. Every chakra has a seed crystal seal in its center. Releasing the seed crystal seal triggers activation of the corresponding chakra. So, for example, when it comes to the base chakra, it's circulating energy from dimension 1. Chakra 2 is circulating energy from dimension 2. So we've got all of those different correspondences. And as I said, the chakras are not just on the front. So if you happen to feel any kind of pain on your back, like let's say on the back of the heart chakra, this is still the heart chakra, but it's backside. So just like when I was kind of trying to explain when we were talking about the lotus anatomy of the plasma body and the fact that you've got the lotuses not just on the front, but also like on the back of the body and on the sides, that's the same way you have to clear your chakras. because people very often are just like clearing it in front of the body, because that's where we usually have all of those images, that these are like those spirals, just kind of like the vortices in front of your body, while they are going through the center of your body all the way through to the back. And we also have their corresponding versions on the horizontal and diagonal axis. So they are going in 6 directions. And this is just something important to remember whenever you are clearing a chakra, and how to do it properly. I will speak about that later. I'm going to just quickly go through the 15 chakras. What are their locations? I guess all of you know those main 7 chakras, the primary ones. And we also have the higher chakras, so I'm just gonna like go through it as a reminder. So we've got the first one is the base chakra, also called the root chakra, because it's basically, the base chakra is supposed to keep you grounded. So the base chakra is a direct interface between you and the core of the planet. That's where this exchange is taking place. The second chakra is in the sacral, and that would be like below the navel area. The third one is the solar plexus. The fourth one is the heart chakra, right in the chest area. The fifth one is the throat. Number 6 is the third eye, right in the area of the forehead. And the crown chakra is right on the top of the head. And we also have something called the higher chakras, because there are 15 of them. And not all of the chakras are directly in our body. So like the main 7 chakras are called the 7 embodied chakras. But we also have something called the 8 higher morphogenetic chakras, and some of them are located above our head or below our feet. So number 8, the 8th chakra, is the thymus gland. But again, it's kind of like, it's on the front here, but it's also coming out through the back of the head. So it's circulating like this, and it's centered right in the pineal gland. There is also the thalamus, that's chakra 9. Chakra 10 is located 15 centimeters or 6 inches above the physical head. Chakra 11 is located 12 inches above the head, that would be 45 centimeters. Chakra 12 is interesting because it is located in 2 places at once. So you've got it 6 inches below the feet, and that would be like 15 centimeters below the physical feet. But at the same time, it's about 24 inches above the head, which would be 60 centimeters. Chakra 13 is the earth core. So it's like technically we all share the same chakra 13. And right now, chakra 13 is also having its, kind of like it's activating on those internal eternal currents, because right in the center, right in the core of the planet, we've got the Nomi seed. So there is like this expanded activation of chakra 13 that we are picking up on, and then we are energizing the rest of the chakras with this frequency. Chakra 14 is 90 centimeters or 36 inches above the head. And this is the location of something called the Trantine window, which is like a diamond window that is connecting you to the eternal creation domains. So if you want to receive the eternal currents, you're connecting to that spot, which is 90 centimeters above your head, this diamond window, and you can just breathe in those vapors through your body. And chakra 15 is the one that is actually moving. So it might be reaching out all the way to the deep cosmic space. Let's say it might be there if you're connecting with your Andromedan aspect. But when you're connecting with the earth core, it might be going below your feet. So pretty much like it's just moving through your body depending on what kind of energy currents you're bringing in to your body. So these are the main chakra locations, and as I said, every single chakra has its own seed crystal seal. And once that seal, which is right in the center of the chakra, gets released, it triggers the activation of the corresponding chakra. And all of the chakras are aligned directly with the central vertical current of the body that is like a tube that runs vertically through our bodies. And now there's a lot of twists when it comes to this central vertical current, because I've been seeing cases where it was just twisted. So it's as if your body was kind of like on a certain tilt. It wasn't aligned with its vertical chamber. There's also this issue where if some people have been working with the reversed Kundalini activations, they would literally have like a snake wrapped up around the central vertical current. Certain chakras are just like totally misaligned with it. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of to look into, kind of like when you're kind of trying to see how this is aligned with your body. Okay, when we get into the next question, does Earth also have its chakras? I'm gonna explain what are the chakras of the planet. So our personal biofield structure corresponds to the planetary biofield structure. Earth also has its own chakra system, referred to as the Stargate network. This system allows for multidimensional passage to other space-time locations on a personal or collective level, as well as for broadcasting of higher dimensional frequencies through the entire planetary body. There are certain places on the planet where you could experience activation of certain chakras due to the multidimensional blending phenomenon. So there's been like a lot of people talking about the experiences where they would be like going on the top of certain mountain and they would suddenly feel like their crown chakra just activating and expanding, or they would just feel so much love coming into their bodies. This is related to the fact that those are the places, those different, I wouldn't even say chakras of the planets, but Stargate locations and places where certain ley lines are crossing through each other. This is where different timelines are blending. This is the places where like Earth might be interfacing with its future versions or with other stellar systems and planets that are having much higher spectral frequency. So sometimes it might be a good thing where you just kind of feel this connection. Sometimes it is being used to open your chakra and reverse it. So I would just advise you to kind of use your own discernment here. If this place, if you know any kind of place like this where it happens, like the opening of a certain chakra, try to see if it's not reversing the polarity or the spin of your chakra. Especially if kind of like this starts to happen and you're feeling very lightheaded, that's one of the symptoms that this might not be such a good activation, because some places on this planet are keeping such connections, but they are keeping connections to the places which are transmitting metatronic frequencies. So you also have to be aware of whether that grid is running on the crystic currents or on the twisted currents, the metatronic currents. But in general, there are places on the planet which we could say are the chakras of the planet or certain Stargate locations. And these are basically places through which the planet is attracting the higher dimensional frequencies, and later on it's broadcasting them through the entire grid system. In the past, we would have the natural ability to moderate our activation levels of chakras and our DNA. This would allow us to activate our chakras at will through intention in order to travel to higher dimensional realities or deactivate them to go to lower dimensional planes. That's how we would properly adjust the frequency. A Stargate passage was possible through the use of the Merkaba vehicle, allowing for rapid trans-time travel. Earth's chakras are different Stargate areas. Many of them these days require healing and realignment, as the planetary distortions of the chakras affect the entire life field. So this is pretty much what I said. We have to be careful which places are still holding that Christic frequency and which ones are not. And the entire planet is in the very intense stage of realigning all of its chakras back to the organic currents and even upgrading them further to the spectra of the internal and eternal creation. So I'm gonna move on to explaining a little bit about the chakras on the light body level, which is the external anatomy, on the plasma body level, which is the internal anatomy, and on the urea body, which is the eternal body. So obviously on the light body level, we have chakras, which are, as I said, they are looking like cones or spirals, whatever you want to visualize it. On the plasma body level, we have lotuses, and each one of the lotuses has 12 petals. So this is how it's looking on the internal creation level. And basically the lotuses, since they are like the primal templates, they actually hold this core programming for the manifestation of the chakras. So if you're holding any kind of distortions in the lotuses, which is referred to as the dark flowering, that I've been speaking a couple of times, this is going to affect your light body as well. So you can clear your chakras multiple times, but the distortions will be coming back if the lotuses are not cleared properly. And on the urea eternal body level, there are no chakras and no lotuses. There is only the core center point, referred to as the ura point, and is holding the connection to the source. So the external light body has chakras, the internal plasma body has lotuses, and the urea eternal body only has the center point, through which it's like the urea body is first kind of like expanding itself, drawing all of its quantum from all of the creation domains, and then it's just coming back to the 0 point. And this way it's coming back to the source. So everything is kind of like coming out from that 0 point of creation, and later on it's coming back again. So that's how it works. On the light body level, each chakra circulates one of the 15 life force currents of external creation. When chakras activate, they start blending frequencies with each other, progressively forming a pillar of light composed of these blended multidimensional frequencies. So, this is something that I'm gonna elaborate on, but what happens when you start to activate your chakras? Let's say you activated all of your 3 chakras, like chakra 1, the base chakra, the sacral, and the solar plexus. So when they are activated, they can stay separate, but they can also start blending. So when all of your chakras basically activate, you can start blending the frequencies of them with each other, because they are not meant to stay separate. That's one thing to realize, that we are kind of stepping out of this separation. we had to keep them separate in the past because there wasn't any other solution, meaning that if you started blending chakra 5 with chakra 4, well, there would be a problem because there's a lot of twists in the astral field, and the heart chakra is bringing the frequencies from the astral field. So there would be a chance that the throat chakra would be infected because each one of the chakras is holding a frequency of the certain dimension, and the frequencies of all of the dimensions below them. So like the throat chakra holds the frequencies also for chakra 4, 3, 2, and 1. So this one would most likely also get infected if we started blending them. But right now, if you are working with the internal and eternal creation technologies, you don't have to be afraid of that. And basically, those chakras are going to create a pillar. Some people say that you need to bring all of your chakras into like a crystal in your heart chakra or something like that. I heard a theory like this. Well, if you did this, I would be seriously concerned. And I do feel a lot of interference when I say that, so I guess I'm correct. If you did that, there would be a chance that you would bring the entire quantum of your chakras, so like a lot of your personal energetic quantum, and you would allow for the interface of that quantum with the astral field. And then there would be a lot of entities just kind of waiting to get that crystal of yours. So that would be quite problematic. So it's the best to basically create like a pillar that is basically like the extension of your central vertical current. And once all of those frequencies of your chakras would start blending with each other, it would actually create like a beautiful rainbow pillar of light that would be later on expanded by the rainbow plasmas of the Nomi seed. So this is actually the best way to go for it, and I'm gonna get into details in a moment. On the internal body level, we also have the 15 lotuses, but they circulate different amounts of the elemental force through each other. So basically, we can associate certain chakra lotuses with the elements. And from the way I was tuning in with that, the chakras that correspond to the earth element are the base chakra and the throat chakra. These are the ones that I struggle with. That's definitely not the element that I am aligned with, the earth. Okay. The chakras that are corresponding with the fire element is the heart and the thymus gland, chakra 8, also referred to as the azure. The chakras that correspond with the water element is the sacral chakra and the third eye. And the air element is the solar plexus and the crown chakra. So if you start to analyze your chakras, you can also be able to detect which element you are struggling with the most, and then start working on it. So with the plasma body, there isn't like really a dimensional division anymore, but some of the lotuses are holding more of certain elementals in each other. When the bright flowering occurs, all elemental frequencies start to blend, forming beautiful, unified rainbow plasma current. On the eternal body level, the Urea body, everything is oneness. There is no dimensional separation. All the light and plasma currents transfigure into the plasma vapor form. That's how it works. The next question that I received is there any point to clear chakras these days if it is the body of the external creation? Before I answer this question, I would like to just address like 3 main issues with the chakras these days. I don't even remember what I wrote down here, so I'm just gonna be like spontaneously analyzing it. If chakras circulate electromagnetic energy and bring it from higher dimensional fields, then what if they circulate distorted light frequencies if the higher dimensions got twisted? And that's what happened in our time matrix. There's a lot of distortions in the 7th dimension, 11th dimension, even up to the dimension 12, actually. So there are even twists on the internal creation level. So this drama has gotten really, really far. And so that means that we have to start using different solutions in order to heal ourselves. So that's why chakras have to be reprogrammed to run on the internal eternal currents. And how to actually do that? The first thing is connecting to the nomisit, the rainbow bubble of the eternal creation in the Earth's core, and starting to run those currents through your body and starting to use those rainbow frequencies from the Earth's core, from the nomisit, and bringing it into the chakras that may need the support, and then you will start to sense that they start to actually act differently and kind of be, there will be like more of that kind of like Christic sensation to them. Another issue, if Earth had its stargates reversed and they correspond to our chakras, then the planetary distortions also manifest on the personal level, twisting our chakra system. So again, it's like as above, so below. So if Earth had certain chakras reversed, we started to pick up this distortion from the environment. So that's kind of like another aspect of it, how the planet is sometimes affecting us. And another thing, it is problematic to realign chakras if the plasma body lotuses are dark flowered. It keeps twisting them and infecting with the black goo. So unfortunately, that's another thing that is taking place, and that's when the eternal body needs to be utilized for the successful clearing of the chakra system. So coming back to the question, is there any point to clear chakras these days if it's the body of external creation? So our physical body is our D2, dimension 2, light body layer. Just for the reminder, dimension 1 is the etheric body, and that would correspond to the base chakra. Dimension 2 is the physical emotional body, which is corresponding to the sacral chakra. And dimension 3 is the mental body, corresponding to the solar plexus. Blockages and distortions in our chakra system affect our energetic as well as our physical condition. Due to the electromagnetic distortions and extraterrestrial manipulation, mainly through the AI and implants, our chakras have become an easy target for other entities to attach to us and drain our energy. Such distortions and huge amounts of various energetic imprints held within the etheric body layer affect our physical body and may be a cause of many sicknesses. That's why chakras shouldn't be activated manually. Their activation needs to occur naturally, but they need to be regularly scanned and cleared to remove any kind of distortion that may be affecting us. So the chakras need to be cleared because, for example, if you are struggling with the mental body interference, the core is usually in the solar plexus, and you might feel a lot of pain in your solar plexus. So even though it is the external creation body, it is still having a direct impact on you. It's just you're using a different method now to actually align your light body levels. Through applying the internal body mechanics, we can use our plasma body and move its structure through our chakras to realign their spin and axis back into their organic natural blueprint. By utilizing this very simple method, we also allow for progressive transfiguration of the chakras back into their ELISA triple spiral configuration, allowing for blending of different multidimensional stations of our identity. So, along with the upgrade to the eternal and internal frequencies, our chakras are not only going to create a pillar, but they are going to create a spiral. And that will be a triple spiral. And I'm going to elaborate more on that now and kind of just explain. Well, I'm just going to read the question and you will know what that is about. So someone asked me, I have heard a number of times people have removed their chakras. I have also heard recently that we will not have them in the future. What are your thoughts on this? So, from my perspective, chakras aren't anything that is artificial. It is an organic aspect of our light body anatomy. If we are removing our chakras, we close ourselves from the energy flows from other dimensions. As we progressively bring the internal and eternal anatomy back online, the integration process starts to happen. Instead of chakras being removed, they start blending frequencies with each other, and that means no dimensional separation anymore. All of the chakras blend, creating the ELISA flame triple spiral configuration, creating a vertical pillar, a triple spiral of frequency. So we do not remove chakras, but we integrate and blend them. This way, clearing the dimensional separation. So while in the past, the dimensional separation was kind of necessary because like there's been this fall of Gaia and then like this third density, like the dimensions 7, 8, and 9, they got quite twisted. So kind of like those chakras were adjusted so that we are bringing the frequencies mostly like from the dimension 12 through the Maharic shield, and then that Maharic current was clearing the rest, and like only from certain dimensions where like we knew that those frequencies wouldn't be reversed. Well, we kind of got to the point where every single dimension is holding a certain level of reversal. So that means that we basically are starting to clear the chakras from the inside out by realigning them with the plasma body and the eternal body blueprint. And then once this, let's say like a buffer is created, we can start blending the chakras in order to get all of our consciousness back, right, from all of the dimensions, so that we could transfigure this consciousness into the internal and the eternal currents. And then we can just get out of here, to put it in a simple way. I hope that what I'm saying makes sense, at least to a certain degree. This can be achieved faster all that integration, by realigning our chakra system with the internal plasma body circulatory system, and then progressively bringing the entire frequency quantum of chakras into the core of the eternal Urea body, which is a pure vapor wave. There is no separation there into different dimensions and such. So that's how it works. We are blending the frequencies. We are basically realigning them with the same frequency blueprint so that there is no separation into dimension 5, 6, and 7. They are all being brought back into the eternal plasma vapors. And this way, they are not going to be harmful in any way to us. Because that's why if you're basically kind of having a lot of pains in your chakras when you're circulating energy, that's because those light currents are most likely the reverse currents that are circulating through your anatomy, and they are actually ripping your cellular structure apart. So I guess it sounds really scary to a certain degree. So when the energy is running through your chakras, it should bring you lightness. It should bring you actually more energy, more vitality into your physical body. Otherwise, I would be kind of concerned if you're actually processing so much energies through your body where it's kind of causing all of those physical pains, unless you're actually one of the people that are doing the grid work on all sorts of levels, and also like processing a part of those disharmonic frequencies through your entire system, because there are certain people that do that. And these energies also get into their chakras. So like if you're one of those people, or you suspect you might be processing a part of the energies for the planet, kind of like transmuting the energies from the grids, then you really have to take care of your chakras on a regular basis in order to ensure that they are not going to be twisted. Because basically, as a grid worker, you might be also processing certain energies from the grids that might be quite heavy, and you're processing them through your body because you're holding certain transmutation codes that allow you for it. So it might be a part of your soul contract, but then you have to make sure that you're keeping yourself clear after such task. So this is just for your own discernment. Another question that I received is about the colors of the chakras. What do they represent? Are they the same on everybody? Each chakra usually has a dominant color that corresponds to the color of the dimensional frequency wave. For example, for the base chakra, it is the red color. As we bring the chakras together, they progressively start to blend with each other, eventually creating a beautiful rainbow current of frequency that nowadays gets upgraded to the rainbow frequency spectra. However, our bodies follow the primal angelic human genome, as well as the individual encryptions that we carry in our DNA. Due to the fact that we have a lot of star seeds on the planet, as well as due to the massive interbreeding campaigns, the angelic human race lines carry a lot of imprints of other races. This is especially influencing the energetic body configurations, including the chakra system. The vibrational rhythm of chakras may differ from the usual angelic blueprint, and this may also be affecting the colors of the chakras. For instance, the crown chakra may be in the golden color instead of violet, since it resonates and attracts higher dimensional frequencies. So your crown chakra, and that sometimes happens to me, that I'm just like, I feel like I'm bringing, even though the crown chakra is corresponding to dimension 7, I kind of see my crown chakra like as this huge, kind of like expanding like this, like it's even bigger than my head, and it's actually processing even frequencies up to dimension 12 and beyond. So there might be different biorhythms of each one of your chakras. They might be corresponding to different tones and different harmonics, depending on your personal encryption and what kind of coding of other races you also have in your template. If you're a starseed or carrying a lot of coding of other races, you may see your chakras in other colors than the ones in the usual dimensional scale. Each one of us carries a unique morphogenetic field encryption, so our chakra systems may be slightly different from each other. So like each one of us has like the same locations of the chakras, but their vibrational encryption might be different. I'm going to give like the basic colors of the chakras, but as I said, you might be seeing your crown chakra in the golden color or your heart chakra in the pink color. And there's not really going to be anything wrong about that. It only depends on how you actually perceive that. So the base chakra is its kind of primal spectra of the frequency wave is the color red. For sacral chakra, it's orange. For the solar plexus, it's yellow. For the heart chakra, it's green. For the throat, it's blue. For the third eye, it's the indigo color. For the crown, it's the violet. And like the Christic violet, but that's another thing that there's this issue with the violet, and like you have to recognize whether this is like the reversed violet ray or this kind of like Christic original violet color. For the thymus gland chakra, which is chakra 8, it's the golden color. For chakra 9, it's silver. For chakra 10, which is that one, these ones that start to go above the head, it's black blue. For chakra 11, it's black silver, kind of a combination of those two. For chakra 12, it's white. For chakra 13, it's aqua blue. For chakra 14, it's pale yellow. And for chakra 15, it's this magenta pink. So these are the base colors, even though they might kind of differ. Okay, so now I'm gonna get to an extremely fascinating thing, which is the chakra configurations of the fallen races. So, is it true that fallen beings don't have the 8th chakra? Do they have smaller chakras with inner empty part? That's the question that I was asked. So I was like, just kind of mostly looking into different fallen races and just kind of drawing my own conclusions. The chakra system among fallen beings usually looks split and separate. There is no energy interaction between the chakras, which is causing the phase lock of the entire light body structure. And it's worth mentioning here that all of the fallen beings also have the light body. It's just full of reversals. So the light body is like essential for you to exist in the external creation fields. So every single fallen being has a light body, but the light body can look dark, but it's still referred to as the light body. The chakras of fallen beings are often too magnetic, which means that they suck in energy to their system from the external environment, and they may literally give a sensation as if they are static and heavy. The 8th chakra, which is the center between the 7 primary and 7 higher chakras, it's kind of in the middle, right? We've got like the 7 below it and the 7 above it. And this is also the chakra 8 is also the location of our seed atom. That is basically kind of like when the seed atom dies, your body also dies. So it's very important. It's like your core, the core of the light body. So the 8th chakra among the fallen races is usually closed due to the monadic reversal. The chakras may look contracted, and usually the 2 cones of the chakras are not connected through the seed crystal seal, or the seed crystal seal is running on reversal, causing twist in the entire chakra structure. The gonfal races, which are the black dragons, don't have chakras. They are fully covered with the black goo. These beings very often attach to other people's chakras or lotuses on the plasma level by creating a reversed plasma vortex that sucks in the individual's energy very rapidly and infects its entire chakra system with the black goo. So that's how it looks like. And kind of carrying on with the fallen races, how many chakras do you see on humans versus the reptilians or Dracos? So firstly, it depends from which dimension each being comes from. For instance, reptilian races that live in the astral realm usually have only 5 to 6 chakras. Their crown chakra is cut off from the structure, which means that there is this complete lack of connection with the higher realms. And right now, it's worth mentioning that right now a lot of the reptilians are actually choosing the host. So it's not like they are very dangerous and scary like they used to be for centuries. While the draconian races that can go all the way up to dimension 10 may actually even have 10 chakras, but they are running on twisted currents. They also don't have chakra 12 and only sometimes the 11th chakra, and that disconnects them from the 12th dimension of Christ consciousness. Chakra 8, which is the location of the seed atom in the body, is usually running on the monadic reversal, cutting them off from being able to connect with the source 0 point. Among the Dracos, there is a noticeable problem in the 7th chakra that is usually twisted and does not allow them for the vertical connection with the higher chakras located above the head, which could be quite painful and the reason for their trigger. However, it is worth mentioning that nowadays, many of the draconian and reptilian races are accepting the eternal crystal river host, and they consciously choose to begin the process of their accelerated bioregenesis. So if you're sensing some reptilians in your field, just kind of ask them if they would like to follow you to the Nomisit at the Earth core, because perhaps they are in your field for a reason, so that you could help them out with certain template issues that they are struggling with. So this is how it looks like. They have chakras, the fallen beings. It's mostly about the fact that they are running on reversal very often, and they are causing a lot of there's usually a lot of different beings. Basically, those fallen beings are very often attaching into other people's chakras in order to directly drain the energy. Okay, so now when we look into the chakras and the auric fields, each chakra is interfacing with one layer of the auric fields. The auric fields are like capsules. They hold the flashline sequences, the dimensional frequency band encryptions, for each one of the 15 dimensions. Chakras pick up the energies from the auric fields and bring it to the inside of our bioenergetic systems. When a chakra is being activated, the corresponding layer of the auric capsule is being dissolved, and it starts to blend with the rest of the auric capsules below. So, for example, dissolving of capsule 4 allows for merger with capsules 1, 2, and 3. When we struggle with clearing a certain chakra, it may suggest a distortion directly in the corresponding auric field layer. If a chakra circulates a distorted current from the auric layer, it starts to distort the chakra itself. This may also be related to certain aspects of our consciousness identities having some integrity issues. So if you are like having an aspect of kind of like, let's say you are a reptilian on the level of the 5th dimension, there might be certain projections that you might be receiving from the 5th auric field through your throat chakra, and this might be sabotaging your throat. There are cases like that. When we struggle with clearing a certain chakra, oh, sorry, I already read that paragraph. Okay, let's move on to the next one. When the entire chakra system is brought into the triple spiral, eternal-internal configuration, it enables blending of the auric field capsules into one crystalline field of unified energy. Right now, blending of the auric field layers and protecting them with the plasma frequencies is important due to the fact that they hold a lot of multidimensional distortions. In the auric fields, you may find all sorts of black holes, vortices, or other beings draining energy through this interface. So looking into your chakra is one thing, but also keep your auric fields in mind as well. Mainly because there's like a lot of energy drain, especially through all sorts of black holes. Especially when you're, if you happen to drink alcohol, this is literally putting your body on such vibrations that it may open up the black holes in your auric fields. So this is something to be aware about, to be aware of. And the easiest way to clear such distortions from the auric fields is to basically expand yourself from the inside out. So you can start circulating yourself like a plasma wave in the clockwise direction, and you start to expand yourself further and further, and basically you start to close all of those wormholes that might be around you. The easiest way to detect if there is kind of some kind of like vortices around you, it's mainly through kind of feeling if there's any kind of pull that you feel like on your back or towards like a certain direction, but you don't really feel it in your body, but kind of like a certain heaviness on your kind of like on your right or the left side. This might be a sign that something keeps draining from you. And also like the ear ringing, this might be also related to those black hole vortices, and you're kind of picking up the infrasounds from it. This is one of the reasons why this might be the case. Okay, another thing, how is the DNA influenced through the chakras? So activation of the DNA triggers activation of the corresponding chakra. Our DNA template holds the coding for the manifestations and functions of our chakra system, as well as other energy circuits. Our DNA codes set the instructions for the chakras to work properly. So it is another aspect of healing chakras from multiple levels. Our DNA is setting the core programs for the manifestation of our energy bodies. So it is one of the most inner layers of our bioenergetic configurations. When our chakras become a pillar of unified standing frequency, and I kind of feel like that's happening with mine right now, so I don't know if I'm transmitting that through this video or whatever, but I kind of feel like something starts to spin around me. So that's quite interesting. Anyway, when our chakras become a pillar of unified standing frequency, the DNA will also take on the configuration of the triple spiral, allowing for the more rapid integration of the junk DNA into our DNA structure. Thanks to that, our DNA can hold more frequencies and circulate them throughout the body. So all that thing with the junk DNA is actually the thing that we've got our DNA that looks like a double helix. But basically, the more of those, I think it's referred to as the fire letter sequences and the vector codes, the more of them you embody into your DNA, you start to activate more DNA strands. So it's still kind of like a double helix, but with a larger spectra of the activated codes. But with the host, we are actually activating the third strand. So the DNA template is not a double helix anymore. It becomes a triple helix. And that's allowing for a larger ability to hold more frequencies in the DNA, and it's allowing for the more rapid integration of the DNA. The third strand is called the strand of the host, and it progressively allows us for the progressive accretion of frequencies and increases the ability of our DNA to process not only the light frequencies through itself, but also the internal plasma currents. So that's why it's very useful to progressively start to activate such configuration in our bodies. So from my perspective, the DNA is one of the most inner layers because it's on the inside of our body, and it's actually setting those core programming instructions for the manifestation of our light body anatomy, and it's also directly interfacing with the plasma body as well. So it is kind of like a certain level of externalization of our morphogenetic field encryption that we carry in our bodies, and it's containing the encryption of all of our cellular memory from way before we came here, throughout all of our incarnations, and also about our current lifetime. So it's basically like the amounts of the DNA are huge. Like there's so many different codes to activate, to integrate. It's a process that takes place through many different lifetimes. But right now, with that third helix, let's say, coming into the game, we can do it much more quickly. There is also one thing I would like to speak about, kind of like on the other note, but with that kind of popular New Age thing with opening your heart, like open your heart, all of those group meditations where people are opening their heart chakras to each other, and what takes place during such events. So, opening your heart is a part of the New Age agenda that is aimed at opening our heart chakra, which would allow for the astral infiltration. In general, we shouldn't keep our chakras open. Otherwise, they may be targeted by other entities and by other people. Whenever we open our hearts, especially in group meditations, we allow for the energy blending with other individuals on the astral body level. This allows all sorts of entities, energy, karmic imprints, and twisted DNA codes to be easily transferred. We have to know the right time, when and during which occasion we can open our hearts. The same case applies to all other chakras. The heart chakra is one of the most targeted areas when it comes to multidimensional interference. We may also receive twisted projections through our heart chakra from our parallel antiparticle self. That's why it is worth regularly checking for any implants or vortices in this area, especially if you experienced any kind of astral attack in the dream state. Check if you don't have any kind of vortex in your heart chakra. Open your heart to only those that you trust, especially when it comes to the purity of your energy. And now I'm gonna move on to kind of explaining what's the case with the lower chakras, because we speak a lot about, as I said before, like opening your third eye chakra, your throat chakra, even your crown, but the lower chakras are actually as important. The base chakra is also called the root chakra or the earth chakra. And that's because it is actually connecting you to the core of the planet. So without the proper alignment of your base chakra, you are all the time ungrounded. And that is basically, that might actually kind of put you in danger of being infiltrated eventually, because you need to be connected to the planet. We are all here in co-creation. So we are constantly sending the energy to the planet, and the planet is sending the energy to us. We have an organic circuit of frequencies. If this circuit is distorted, this energy flow is also not working properly. The sacral chakra is not just the area of the sexual energies, but it's also our emotional. It's basically our sphere of emotions. It's also responsible for balance. For any kind of fear, anxiety patterns are in the sacral. So later on, the distortions in the sacral chakra might be also manifesting, and I've seen that many times, as the issues in the digestive system, where certain childhood traumas related to being abused, to either mentally or sexually abused, or all sorts of fear, anxiety patterns are later outpicturing as all sorts of autoimmune diseases of the digestive system. So this alignment of the sacral chakra is very important, and all sorts of energy imprints that have been transferred there to us by other people. And the solar plexus, this is the area of our will. So if you want to be a powerful creator of your own reality, you need to have like a very much aligned solar plexus. And also it's about the peace of the mind. Otherwise, all sorts of mental body distortions are actually located right in the core of the solar plexus. So, to kind of summarize what I just said, the lower chakras are important because they are responsible for grounding us in this reality, and they are directly related to the etheric, emotional, and mental body. Without the proper alignment of these chakras, it may be difficult for an incarnating identity to properly anchor higher dimensional frequencies, since the energies of chakras 1 to 3 create a base for the higher energies to properly settle in. and that's why the host is taking place from density 1, we need a proper frequency base. If we don't have a proper energetic grounding base, it may be difficult for us to receive information from other realms. So actually the work with the lower chakras needs to start first before opening the higher chakras. This is something to be aware of. And speaking about the infiltrations, I received a question, what happens to one's chakra from the moment they sell their souls to the dark? That question kind of, I don't know, I just felt something very weird when I read that question. But I was very curious to get an insight about it. So I'm just gonna kind of read you what came through to me. When an individual decides to sell their soul to the dark, either through black magic or whatever that would be, they are firstly losing their connection to their higher stations of identity. The personal biofield becomes phase-locked. Chakras continue circulating energy from the auric fields until they eventually self-deplete, and the connection to higher dimensions gets closed. So it is usually creating a blockage on chakras from 5 to 8. So this means that the individual usually can only reach as high to the astral field. And like they think that they are like, I don't know, channeling from the 7th dimension, but actually these are just the channelings coming from the astral fields. The heart chakra starts to circulate reversed D4 astral currents, progressively leading to reversals of the DNA template and other energy structures. When the external creation body becomes fully compromised, the only rescue for such individual is the activation of their internal plasma body to progressively restore the connection to the organic spectra of crystic plasmas that may stop and prevent further infiltration and damage of the external templates. So like if such thing is taking place, if somebody sold their soul, they have to, I mean, if they, first of all, like they need to really kind of like want to get out of it. So breaking all sorts of contracts and connections to those fallen beings is one thing, but they need to start healing themselves from the inside out. So they are not going to heal themselves with like, I don't know, beaming white light on them. They really need to start working from the core of the problem. So like they need to activate a core structure, which would be the plasma body, that starts to move through the inside of their bodies and start realigning those distortions very, very slowly. All right, so the last thing that I want to mention, how to manage chakras these days. So I have like a small list of kind of like recommendations for the chakra system. So the first solution, using the rainbow plasma spectra on the plasma body lotuses and then moving this energy to the light body anatomy. So you basically connect to the Nomi seat of the planet and you're beaming those frequencies through your plasma body and throughout all of its lotuses. And later on, you spread that frequency to all of the light body chakras. You can also do it the same way with the elementals. You can basically clear each one of the elemental layers. And then, for example, like spread your water body throughout your chakras. Just make sure that you heal the water body first. And that can help you also realign the chakras, especially the ones that are corresponding to a certain element. So like for the sacral, that would be exactly the water body. Another thing, moving the plasma and the urea body through the chakra system to realign it with the organic blueprint. So this is something I suggested before. Basically, your plasma body is like, it's kind of looking like your body, but it's inside of you. And you can basically transfigure this body into like a moving wave of energy that starts to, and you can basically circulate it through your chakras, or you can send your plasma body to a certain chakra in order to realign it. You can do all sorts of things like that. You can use your plasma body to push out a certain distortion out of your system. And then you're just sending that distortion down to the core of the planet. The planet will transmute all sorts of distortions for you. Another thing, working with the elementals to restore organic currents in chakras. So that's actually what I just spoke about. For example, using the fire element to realign the heart chakra. Another thing, visualizing an Elisa flame triple spiral running through the chakra system. So it's basically like a triple spiral that runs from the Nomi seat all the way through your entire body and out to the cosmic space. So like you have this beautiful vertical pillar of connection between the cosmos and the core of the planet. And these frequencies are running through your body, and they are also automatically healing you. And you can also use those energies to start realigning your body. Also, another recommendation, progressive scan on a regular basis of the condition of the chakras. So kind of like tapping into which chakra feels quite heavy to me. It might be also related to certain mental and emotional states. So like if you kind of feel like you have mind fog all the time, this might be either related to the mental body, which would be the solar plexus, or to the third eye, some kind of pineal distortions, or the crown chakra. So it's basically kind of about making those associations. Like if I keep getting issues in my dream state, like all sorts of weird dreams and stuff, look what's going on with your heart chakra. If you feel very ungrounded, well, the problem must be in the base. If I struggle to speak and express myself, then the issue is in the throat. Kind of make those different mental associations with different chakras and their actual functions. Another thing, reprogramming the seed crystal seal to the eternal encryption. So it can work this way, that you basically connect with your eternal body core, which is between chakra 3 and 4. And it's basically looking like a vapor, and you start to spread this vapor through the entirety of your chakras. And when you kind of see like this tiny star in the middle of each chakra, you basically start to circulate that vapor through it, and you might see this star either kind of starting to spark or shine with different colors. And it's basically setting the eternal programming into the seed crystal seal. And also working on realigning the codes in the DNA. The DNA might be also holding certain distortions that are affecting the chakra system. So this is pretty much everything that I prepared about the chakras. I hope that this information was useful to you. We are basically in the times when the evolution is much quicker. We can come back home much faster instead of having to wait again for quite a while to actually make certain things happen. So I think that this is wonderful news for everybody. I'm not sure yet what I'm gonna present to you next week, so I'm as well open to any kind of suggestions on what would you like me to talk about, if there is anything. And as for now, I wish you a wonderful beginning of the week, and I will see you next Monday, and I'm going to speak about whatever I feel guided to. So I hope you enjoyed this and have a wonderful evening or wonderful day, whatever time it is for you. Take care and bye-bye. See you soon.